Let me tell you something most people never understand. Life doesn't care about your complaints. The world isn't moved by your frustration, your sadness, or your excuses. It only reacts to your results. And that's why the mindset is simple. No complaints, only comebacks. Because every second you spend complaining is a second you could have spent building, pushing, fighting, and rising. The people who win aren't the ones born with the best circumstances. They're the ones who refuse to stay down when life hits them. They get punched, they get knocked around, they get humbled, and then they stand up with fire in their chest and say, "Watch my next move." You see, complaining is easy. Anyone can talk about how unfair life is. Anyone can cry about their struggles, blame the system, blame their parents, blame the world. But champions don't waste breath on what they can't control. They take responsibility, even for things that weren't their fault, because responsibility is power. And power gives you options. Options give you opportunities, and opportunities build comebacks. A comeback isn't built in comfort. It's forged in the moments when you feel like breaking, when the weight feels too heavy, when nobody believes in you, not even you. That's the moment where most people quit, but that's also the moment where winners are born. When you decide no more excuses, no more waiting, no more weakness. When you look at your challenges and instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What's next?" That shift alone creates a different kind of man, a man who bends life to his will. And listen carefully, your comeback doesn't need applause, validation, or permission. It needs discipline. It needs consistency. Here's the hook. Most people never realize the moment you stop complaining, you instantly lift yourself above the average. Most people are addicted to their own misery. They bond over their limitations. They look for sympathy more than solutions. They want the world to feel sorry for them instead of respecting them. But the one who stops complaining becomes different. He becomes rare. He becomes dangerous in the best possible way because he stops waiting for someone to rescue him. But those who walk straight into pressure, those who choose the hard path, unlock abilities, discipline, and mental power they never knew existed. Pressure becomes a filter. It eliminates the weak intentions, the half-hearted commitments, the surface-level dreams. Only the truly committed survive it. And those who do come out sharper, stronger, and more prepared for what's ahead, here's another powerful hook. Pressure reveals you to yourself. Not who you pretend to be, not who you wish you were, but who you truly are when everything is on the line. You discover whether you panic or persevere, complain or commit, freeze or fight. And the beautiful part, you can change the outcome. Pressure gives you proof of where you need to improve. It shows you exactly what to fix, what to strengthen, and what to let go of. It becomes the blueprint for your comeback. And in the moments when pressure feels unbearable, that's when transformation is closest. The times when you feel overwhelmed are the exact times life is molding you. The weight you're carrying today is building the strength you'll need tomorrow. The fear you're facing now is preparing you for opportunities you're not ready for yet. The challenges that exhaust you are carving out the resilience required to handle a bigger life. Pressure is not a sign that you should quit. It's a sign that something powerful is being built within you. When you finally understand that pressure is the birthplace of power, you stop resisting it. You start using it. You start walking into difficult situations with intention instead of fear. You start trusting that every hardship is shaping your future. You start recognizing that the greater the pressure, the greater the comeback waiting on the other side. And that is where your true strength begins to rise, not in the easy moments, but in the ones that try to break you. Taking responsibility is the turning point where your entire life shifts from chaos to control, from excuses to evolution, from helplessness to power. The moment you decide to own everything, your choices, your habits, your situation, your mindset, you step into a level of strength most people never reach. Responsibility is not about blaming yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to take full command of your life. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone to fix things for you and realize that you are the one who has to rise, rebuild, and redirect your path. And the powerful hook is this: the day you take responsibility is the day you take back your power. Most people spend their lives pointing fingers at their past, at their parents, at society, at circumstances, at luck, at timing. It feels easier to blame something else because responsibility demands effort, discipline, sacrifice, and growth. Complaining demands nothing. Blame demands nothing. But the problem is clear. When you blame something else, you hand your power to that thing. You become a spectator in your own life instead of the creator. But the one who stands firm and says, "I'll handle it," becomes unstoppable, because he refuses to wait for perfect conditions. You can no longer pretend that life will magically improve. Instead, you are forced to act. But that forced action is exactly what creates comebacks. It pushes you to learn the skills you avoided, to build the discipline you lacked, to confront the pain you ignored, and to develop the mindset required for a stronger future. Responsibility is the pressure that forges your transformation. And here's what makes responsibility so powerful. It gives you control over the one thing that truly matters, your response. You cannot control every event, every difficulty, or every setback, but you can control how you handle it. You can choose resilience over victimhood, strategy over panic, focus over frustration. And once you take control of your response, life becomes less about what happens to you and more about what you choose to do with it. This is the foundation of every great comeback in history. Responsibility also builds respect, self-respect first, and external respect second. When you take ownership, you start trusting yourself. You start believing in your ability to handle challenges. You stop doubting your potential. And as your self-respect grows, your standards rise. You stop tolerating laziness, negativity, and weak habits. You begin demanding more from yourself because you know you're capable of more. Others notice this shift too. They stop seeing you as someone who complains and start seeing you as someone who delivers, someone dependable, someone strong. The final hook is the truth most avoid. If you want a comeback, responsibility is the entry point. It is the doorway you must walk through before discipline, confidence, success, or growth can follow. When you take responsibility, you declare to yourself and the world, I am not waiting, I am building. And that declaration turns your life from reactive to intentional. It transforms setbacks into strategies, challenges into lessons, and pressure into preparation. Responsibility is not just a mindset, it's the fuel that turns ordinary people into powerful forces. Silence is the breeding ground of greatness because it forces you to focus on what matters. Your work, your discipline, your growth. Noise is cheap, it's easy, it's tempting, and it distracts you from building the life you want. The ones who talk the most usually achieve the least because their energy goes into words instead of actions. But the person who masters silence becomes dangerous. He develops the ability to build without applause, to grow without validation, and to rise without permission. And here's the hook that separates the strong from the average. The quiet grinders always deliver results that the loud talkers can't compete with. When you silence the noise, you take control of your mind. Distractions lose their influence. Opinions stop guiding you. Emotion no longer dictates your choices. You step into a mental space where clarity thrives, and clarity will always outperform chaos. People who constantly seek attention never understand this. They scatter their energy in multiple directions. One thought here, one worry there, one conversation somewhere else, and then wonder why they can't gain momentum. But the silent individual channels every ounce of energy into progress. He transforms focus into fuel and discipline into results. The world has conditioned people to believe they need to announce every move, every plan, every goal. They mistake attention for achievement. They confuse being seen with being powerful. But true power grows quietly. Trees grow silently. Muscles grow silently. Knowledge grows silently. Strength is built in silence, long before it is displayed in public. And when it finally shows, the world is shocked not because you talked about it, but because you didn't, and still delivered something undeniable. Here's the hook. Most people never recognize. Silence protects your ambition. When you keep your goals and plans to yourself, you shield them from doubt, negativity, and interference. People cannot discourage what they don't know. They cannot sabotage what they cannot see. They cannot twist what you never shared. Silence gives you the space to make mistakes, to refine your strategy, to rebuild without judgment. It keeps your momentum clean and your vision unpolluted. When you focus on the work instead of the noise, you enter a state where consistency becomes natural. You stop chasing motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop caring about who's watching and start caring about who you're becoming. You develop a relationship with effort that most people never experience. And the truth is, while noise may bring attention for a moment, work brings results that last a lifetime. Silence is also where your strength is tested. When you're alone with your ambitions, there's no applause to encourage you and no audience to impress. It's just you, your willpower, your decisions, your commitment. That solitude sharpens you. It forces you to discover what you truly want, not what you want others to see. It teaches you to rely on your internal fire instead of external validation. And once you build that internal fire, no one can extinguish it. And here's another powerful hook. Your silence creates shock value. When you grind without announcing it, your progress becomes unpredictable and unstoppable. People only see the results, and the results hit harder because they come without warning. You don't need to prove anything with words when your achievements speak louder than any speech you could give. Focusing on the work is not just a strategy, it's a transformation. It rewires your mind for excellence. It strengthens your discipline. It builds a foundation of confidence that noise can never provide. And eventually the world realizes something important about you. You don't talk to impress, you work to express. Your results are your voice, your discipline is your reputation, and your silence is your advantage. Turning setbacks into strategy is one of the most powerful skills a person can develop because it transforms every failure into fuel instead of frustration. Most people treat setbacks as dead ends. They panic, they collapse, they assume life is working against them. But the individuals who rise above average understand something deeper. Setbacks are not signals to stop, they are signals to study. They carry information, warning signs, hidden lessons, and clues about what needs to be improved. A setback is not the enemy, ignorance is. And here's the hook that shifts everything. The moment you stop reacting emotionally to setbacks and start analyzing them logically, you instantly separate yourself from the majority. A setback is nothing more than feedback from life. It's the world showing you what isn't working, where your weaknesses are, what habits are slowing you down, and which decisions need refinement. When you adopt this perspective, failure stops feeling personal. It becomes data. You stop saying, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single mental shift changes every challenge into an advantage. Instead of drowning in self-pity, you rise into a state of self-awareness. And self-awareness is the foundation of mastery. The most successful people are not the ones who avoid setbacks. They are the ones who extract strategies from them. They look at what others complain about and say, "How can I use this?" They study their mistakes without ego. They reflect on their choices without shame. They examine their losses with curiosity instead of disappointment. This mindset converts pain into intelligence, confusion into clarity, and chaos into direction. It's the transformation that turns average individuals into strategic fighters. Here's the hook. Most people overlook setbacks expose your blind spots. They reveal the patterns you keep repeating, the weaknesses you keep ignoring, and the opportunities you keep missing. When everything is going right, you learn nothing. When everything falls apart, you learn everything. Setbacks force you to upgrade your thinking, sharpen your skills, and elevate your discipline. They force you to evolve in ways comfort never could. There is a unique power in looking at something that once defeated you and saying, "I will not let this happen again." That sentence alone turns fear into strategy. It fuels discipline. It strengthens your resolve. When you approach setbacks this way, you begin designing better plans, taking smarter actions, and preparing for challenges before they arrive. You become proactive instead of reactive. You build resilience, not by avoiding difficulty, but by training your mind to extract wisdom from it. Another hook that separates winners from quitters is simple. The comeback is always stronger when the strategy is built from struggle. When you understand the root of your setbacks, your habits, decisions, timing, environment, priorities, you gain the power to prevent the same failure from repeating. You start moving with intention instead of emotion. You stop guessing and start executing. You stop hoping and start planning. Your life becomes a calculated climb instead of an accidental journey. Setbacks also reveal your character. They show how committed you truly are. Anyone can stay motivated when things go well. Anyone can stay confident when life is smooth. But when everything falls apart, the truth shows itself. If you can stay steady, focused, and strategic during difficulty, you become a different kind of person, one who cannot be broken easily. Setbacks begin to fear you instead of you fearing them. And here's the ultimate hook. Every setback contains the seed of a future advantage. If you study it, you outgrow it. If you use it, you outsmart it. If you rise from it, you outshine everyone who quit at the same point. Turning setbacks into strategy is what transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary stories. It's the skill that ensures every fall becomes part of your rise. A comeback is more than a moment. It is a declaration of identity. It is the proof of who you are when life strips you bare, when your excuses no longer protect you, and when your strength is tested at its core. Anyone can smile when life is smooth, but your true character is revealed the moment everything collapses, when plans fail, when opportunities slip away, when pressure suffocates you. That's the moment life asks you a simple question: who are you without the comfort? And here's the powerful hook that changes everything. Your comeback is the answer you give to that question, not through words, but through action. Most people let setbacks redefine them. They let failure convince them they're not capable. They allow disappointment to shrink their potential. They start believing that one bad season means a bad life. But comebacks are built by the ones who refuse to accept the story their circumstances try to write for them. They understand that failure is not a full stop. It's a comma. It's a pause that demands reflection, restructuring, and renewal. Your comeback becomes proof that your setbacks never had the final say. A comeback isn't only about rising again. It's about rising different. Stronger, smarter, more disciplined, more aware. A comeback is not simply returning to where you were, it's surpassing it. It's becoming a version of yourself that your past self wasn't strong enough to be. That growth alone is what separates someone who breaks from someone who builds. And here's the hook most people overlook. The power of a comeback lies not in the victory. It lies in the transformation you experience on the way to that victory. When life knocks you down, you are standing at a crossroads. You can stay down, complain, blame, and surrender, which is what most people do. Or you can rise with intention, rebuild with awareness, and return with a sharpened mindset. Those who choose to rise begin to understand their own strength in a way comfort never revealed. Struggle introduces you to yourself. It shows you what you're made of, what you're capable of, and what you must become. Your comeback becomes a statement that nothing, not fear, not failure, not adversity, can permanently stop you. A comeback also carries a silent power. While others are watching your downfall, expecting you to quit, assuming you'll never recover, you are rebuilding in the shadows. You are learning. You are planning. You are preparing. And when you return with results, not explanations, not excuses, not stories, but results that silence doubt instantly. That shock factor is the hook that fuels champions, the satisfaction of letting your strength speak louder than your struggle. And the truth is, nobody remembers your failures once you rise. People remember your resilience. They remember the version of you that refused to quit. They remember the determination that pushed through the hardest moments. They remember the comeback, not the collapse. Your identity becomes rooted in your ability to endure, adapt, and overcome. And that identity earns a level of respect that complaining, quitting, or blaming could never achieve. The beauty of a comeback is that it builds a deeper relationship with yourself. You start trusting your ability to survive storms. You start believing that no matter how hard life hits, you can hit back harder. You build confidence grounded in evidence, not opinion. And once you have that kind of confidence, it becomes nearly impossible for external circumstances to defeat you again. Here's the final hook that defines the essence of this point. Your comeback is the strongest proof that you are not defined by where you fell, but by how you rose. It shows the world, and more importantly yourself, that you are built for more than one chapter of difficulty. You are built for endurance, evolution, and elevation. Your comeback is not just a return, it is a rebirth. And that rebirth becomes the identity of someone who refuses to be conquered. So let this be your reminder: no complaints, only comebacks. Stop focusing on what went wrong and start focusing on what you're going to do next. Stop telling the world your problems and start showing it your power. Life is a fight, and you don't win fights by talking. You win by swinging back harder than before. The next chapter of your life is waiting for a stronger, sharper, more disciplined version of you. So rise, rebuild, return with force, and let the world see what a real comeback looks like.